Hey guys, welcome back. So I've been mentioning for a little while now that I have kind of a new strategy for acquiring tokens, just basically, prioritizing and that sort of thing. And I'd like to be able to share that now. I've spent quite a bit of time trying to think about the best way to do this. So part of this has to do with where I am in the game. So I'm starting to get to 6-star, 6-star capped off characters. I've got a fair couple of those now, and a fair number that are getting really close. And in some ways, it feels like I'm coming in, I'm getting ready to land this ship. I want to land it so that as many of my characters hit 6-star at the same time as possible. I don't want to have a whole bunch of, say, scrolls left over, or just be overwhelmed with gold, or, those have, say, something going on with the heroic summons where I'm still summoning Ekko when I could be done with him and get him out of the way and not be wasting gems on him. So I'm trying to find a way to bring it all in together and kind of allocate my resources in a way that I can bring everyone up either at the same time or use it most efficiently. So I know that sounds a little abstract. Let's talk a little bit more about what that means. So the first thing to do is inspect the portal. See what we can learn from this portal and the way we should be doing things. So if we go into the heroic summon, these are, gems are the most rare, the most expensive currency or resource in the game, so you want to be able to minimize your spending of them and get the most out of it. So when you go into the hero drops here, we've got a fair list of characters. Should be coming up any second now. You get those longer delays here, and that wasn't a lag delay of like the mere broadcasting it. That's all in the game at the same time. Do seem to get a fair number of those. I've mentioned before I wish they could speed that up. But anyway, we're in here now. So you see Ignus the Mad. A lot of people get frustrated when he pulls up on the summons. One of the less useful characters that comes out as a 3-star. Seems like he should be really powerful. I think it's that firewall. It takes too much time. You don't get that initial damage. And is easy enough to avoid if you're using ranged characters on the other side. But there's a number of these characters that you can either farm tokens for or show up in other summons. So Ignus is one of them. You can both farm for him. It may be the only other thing. I'll have to look through the other ones at the same time. But you can definitely farm tokens for him. Yokozuna as well, a really strong character, especially defending side. Can be used a lot in PvP. And you can also farm tokens for him, even in the levels. Alexandros shows up even in the great summons, so you can build up tokens for him just with gold rolls, the easiest currency to get a hold of. Archangel Emily and Overlord Executum solely here, but Life Reaper Brom, again, you can farm tokens for him. Ekko you can farm tokens for, and he actually has a bunch of levels. Most of the preceding ones only had 3 levels, and so it kind of restricts the availability to get a hold of them, and each level at 7 energy or 7 stamina each time. Ekko actually has quite a few. I think it's 5 or 6 levels you can farm tokens for to get him up and out of there. Phenol, again, there's only 3 levels, but you can farm for him. And that's the last farmable character. So basically what do we have? Something like 5. Phenol, Ekko, Brom, Alexandros, Yokozuna, and Ignus. Alexandros, again, so he makes the 6th, but you can only get him in the Great Summons. There's no level that you can farm for him in. Alright, look at Honor Summons for a minute. Okay, so you do see Ignus the Mad again in here. So you'd rather get him here than with harder to come by gems. Chief NubNub, for me that's 6-star already. A lot of these characters, so Dagrund you can't farm tokens for out of levels. Most of the rest of these you can. You can't for Samurai Takumi either, but those also give very large amounts of tokens for the unlock. So I think both of those give 25 or 35 tokens when you get the unlock here when doing honor rolls. Some of the others only give 10, 15, a much smaller amount. But most of these you can then farm. This, I believe, most people as they're progressing through the game, the Honor Summons is the first place where they start maxing out characters. They max out the characters themselves and then eventually max out entirely the use of the Honor Summons. So there are many players who already have all of these characters at 6-star. I don't, but they're getting up much closer, and I think most of these characters for me are at least 5-star with a couple 4-stars left over, and some are 6, so I'm getting up to that upper end. Look at the great summons. Alright, a lot of these characters that are easier to get a hold of, and all of which show up in the with the ability to farm for them in levels, except Alexandros here and Bovus El Doro. So the big thing for the strategy for me is trying to use the energy that I have, or the stamina, as effectively as possible to get those characters that are in the heroic summons out of the heroic summons. So that means every day I'm going through first, and usually just quick looting, but making sure I get all of the tokens for Ekko. Right now I've actually got a ×2 event going on, which is great, so you can try to do that as well. Even faster to get him out of here, but he's at 5-star, working his way up to 6-star. Similarly, for the rest of these, I'll just show a couple. So Ignus the Mad, almost done here. Try to get in there real quick. Alright, so about 60 tokens left. You get 3 a day, so maybe 20 days left. Even probably a little less than that. We've got the ×2 right now, and we also get, gold and purple chests periodically as well. So something maybe 15, 18 days, somewhere like that, and Ignus will be done. He'll be out of the honor summons, he'll be out of the heroic summons. One less character to be rolling for in there. And again, Ekko, not too far away since we've got many more levels to get him from. But you get the idea. All of these, and there are 5 of them, I believe, that are here, you can get out of the way. I'm doing this way. And that usually means they're, with the events that they've had going on, there hasn't been a lot of additional stamina to farm for the other characters. A lot of the rest of my stamina is then going into the events, during these events. And a lot of times I've been running a lot of events, so so there's a limitation on where you're going to be able to do your farming. Alright, at the same time, I've been pumping as much gold as possible into the Great Summons. And I've probably put well over 30 million gold in there at this point, maybe even much more than that. It's easy to lose track. I'd say even in this last week I've put probably 8 to 10,000 or 8 to 10 million gold through that Great Summons. And you get an enormous number of tokens. I've stopped even filming any of those because it just takes so long. I was doing, I think for 4 million it was taking me almost an hour to get through. Really takes a long, long time. So there's not a lot of benefit to watch those, but it's something you can absent-mindedly do while you're watching a show or something. Just keep clicking on it and get through all of that. I mentioned before, but I'll mention it again. If you go into the honor shop, this is one place I'm getting about 500,000 gold per day. Going in here and using 500 scrolls to get this 250, and then I do a refresh stock and get another 250 gold. So that brings in about 500,000, and when you're running, again, I think I mentioned in the last video, in the events here, if you use the wreaths and you're getting a lot of gold or a lot of stamina from those, then you can go into these and use them, kind of cash it in for gold and the chance to get celestial evos that are really highly needed. So doing that, you can bring in a lot of gold, which you can then also recycle back into bringing up those character levels. So even since the last video, I was able to bring up another character, Yasmin Bloom, up to 5-star now. And a lot of these, they help out a lot in general. Partly it helps out, it makes the Tower of Ponage all that much easier, because they can take a couple extra hits, which means less characters you got to cycle through to get all those abilities out of the way. And it's also helpful when you're doing things like the Gold Island. So every day you can run that. At the highest level, you're going to get somewhere between 100 and 300,000 gold each time you run it. And the higher level your characters, especially some of these like a water team that maybe you don't use so often for other things, the easier it is to do that level quickly, to do it successfully, but also to do it really quickly. The further over leveled and over kind of high star level that you have for your characters, the faster you can run through all those things. So that's the big thing. Not wasting a lot of time farming for characters that I can pull out of the gold summons, and trying to make sure that I can hold off on using gems as long as possible so I can continue to try to get those other characters out of the heroic summons. That's the biggest goal for me. At this point, I'm not going to spend any more gems on the heroic summon unless there's a special character event. So if there's a special character, I'll try to get that character. Otherwise, I'll hold off on the gems until I can get as many, if not all, of those characters out of there. And at the same time, using that gold not to bring up all the abilities, because I'm not using the other characters that often. I've already got strong enough teams so that I can do the guild quests to do a purple team or a blue team victory or a red team victory. The characters are strong enough there, so I'd say hold off on investing more in abilities unless you really need to bring somebody up to finish off one of your teams, and instead dump it into getting those tokens, because that actually does help you out for the Tower of Ponage and helps you to continue to get the other characters out of those portals and make it easier. Once all of that's done, if you've actually got all the characters fully starred that are in, say, the Great Summons, then you've got free reign to, further bump up the abilities for all those characters. And I think that would be a great time for that. For now, for me, the emphasis is going to be on getting everyone to that 6-star level. All right, that's most of what I had there. If there are any questions or comments, if there are any other strategies, I would love to hear them. Please post those in the comment section. We can talk about them and see what else is going on and what else other people have found. That's it for now. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see everyone soon.